Hey friends, you are with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and today I'm going to show you how to do knockout text. So this is something a lot of people are doing right now, and everybody kind of has their own technique with it. Now in Illustrator, it is super simple to do knockout text, but when you get into Cricut Design Space, and that's the only place you're designing and you're not uploading images, it gets a little more difficult to do, especially depending on what kind of font you choose. So today I'm going to show you an easy way to do knockout text with any font you want. So let's hop over to Cricut Design Space and I'll show you what it's all about. And if you like what I'm doing here today, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space. So all I did was go over and open a new canvas. If you're on the home page, there's a small square there that you can click for new. And so once you're on a clean canvas, the very first thing that I like to do is choose my font. So I'm going to go into text. And for this particular project, for the word Sydney, I used Monday Bold. So I'm just going to type in my niece's name, Addie. Move it over so you can see it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now that I have her name, the very next thing I want to do is go into letter spacing, and I'm going to make that 0. Now, depending on what your font is, let's just increase the size of our canvas a little bit so you can see it. Depending on the font, sometimes it goes perfectly together. Now you can see there's a little bit of a lip here, and I don't want that, so I'm going to go back into letter spacing and just go down 1. And so now all of the letters are perfectly together. You could, go a little bit tighter if you wanted to as well. So now that I have that, I'm going to weld them. So now they're not individual letters anymore, but it's one cut, so it's one piece. So now that I have her name, the next thing I want to do is I want to create that bubble or that edging effect all the way around her name. Okay, my way for doing this is actually pretty simple. It'll take you a little bit of time depending on if you want it to be that bubble effect, kind of like I did up here with Sydney, or if you want to have it closer or tighter to each individual piece. So like with the word Sydney, I literally went over to Shapes, chose a circle. Once you have that circle, I'm going to turn mine white just because it's easier for me to see. And then I'm going to reduce the size of it. So if you want to do this bubble effect, what I suggest is having a circle for every letter, or maybe every letter plus 1, and I'll show you why. So you might have 4 or 5 circles for this. Now if you wanted to do it much tighter around than this bubble effect, you're just going to have more circles. And so like for instance, I might have a circle just around this part of the lettering so it gets very close. But for Addie's name and for what I'm doing, I just want it be more of a bubble effect. So I'm going to duplicate. Now once you get the extra bubbles, what you want to do is you want them to just be just off the edge of each one of the letters. And so you're probably only going to need maybe the number of letters that you have plus 1. And what your goal is here is that you want to just cover up those letters. So we'll resize that. Let's get another circle, and we can make that one close. For this. Okay, so now that we have that, let's go over into the layers panel. We'll find Addie and let's bring it to the front. So we'll go into Arrange, Send to Front. Okay, so now you can kind of see where you have, extra bubble area. So around the A, that might be a little bit much, having that huge bulbous out there. And then around the Y, maybe we want to bring that out a little bit and give it a little bit more. So I am just going to go back over and hide Addie for a second. And so I'm going to take this, move it out a little bit. I'm going to take this one, and I'm probably actually going to make multiples of that just to get a little bit closer. So maybe move this one down. Kind of get it around the A, and then we'll duplicate that, and we'll have maybe even a little bit smaller around the top part of the A. Okay, so then let's go back over, and you can either hide it or move it to the back. And so I want to move it to the front so we can just kind of see. Okay, so now again it's a little bit tighter, and if you wanted it to be even more so, you just keep doing this effect, right? So you could have a tiny little circle there and a tiny little circle here, just so that you're more right around the lettering. But I kind of like the way that this looks for what I'm doing. So I'm going to hide the word Addie for a moment, and then I am going to just capture all of those circles at one time, and I'm going to weld them. So now it gives you that cloud effect, or it's one cut, it's just one piece. And then I'm going to turn Addie back on and move it to the front, and there we go. So, okay, so I'm going to quickly show you a second way to do this. I'm not a huge fan of this process. If depending on the font that I'm using, it can be, kind of difficult to do. But I want to show it to you so you can make your own choice if you have a font that this works for. So if you grab the name, let's just move it here really quick, and we say, okay, we want to knock out Sydney from the word art, and we don't want it to have the bubble effect around it like this with the patterns and things. We want it to be slimmer, and we want it to absolutely conform specifically to the name. We're going to take Sydney, and we are going to duplicate it. Going to duplicate. So we want to save one Sydney or one name out just as it is. And then the second one, we're going to kind of layer it on top of itself. So kind of bulking it up. The problem is with some of these fonts, and this is why I don't care for this process as much, is that they have edges on them. And they have these holes and things in here. So let's just say that we duplicate, 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 and then you grab this and you weld it together. Okay, so now you have this one cut. Now what you can do is go over to contour and you take out all this little stuff in the middle. Okay, so actually let's just hide everything and we'll keep just the word Sydney. Okay, so now it is the name, but it's slightly bigger. And a lot of times it takes several times of doing this to get it kind of the way that you would like for it to be. And it's kind of edgy. Do you see how it's kind of edgy? So, but you can then take that, right, and put it over top and just hit arrange and send it to the back. And so then you have a slightly larger version of the name. And you could have duplicated it more. Now again, you're going to have these little edges and things. Let's just make it bigger so you can see it really well. But that is one way to do it, and you get all of the contours within it. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you before we go is how to do, the knockout for these two things. So I am going to do this, which is adding the pattern and making this, it's kind of a knockout, but it's really going to be a print then cut. If you're interested in this type of thing, I'm doing a video. My very next video is all about how to do this and do it for fun, back to school, notebooks and water bottles and all that kind of thing. Now this is more of a traditional knockout, and I just wanted to show you this really quick. So if you take lettering, so this back piece is actually Bebas, B-E-B-A-S font, and I just put the letters really close to each other and then I welded them so that they were one cut. So it's just the word art. We'll hide the name, and we want to grab the word art, and we want to grab the top element, and we want to slice them. So just so you know, sometimes if you grab the top element and then the bottom element and you go try to slice it, the option is not there. So if you find that that happens to you, just click off of it and make sure that you grab them in order. So we are going to slice, and so now you can see you should be able to grab that element out, and you just have to keep deleting until you get it all. And so now Sydney, the name, is actually cut out of the word art. So it's a little rougher. Like I was telling you before, it's not always the best. Some fonts are better than others, but you can see how you can knock out from a word. And then you have this version, which is a little more bubbly and clean. The cuts are a little more clean. And you can do fun patterns with those. Okay, so what did you guys think? So that's really actually pretty simple, right? And there's so many fun things you can do, like home decor, or what I'm going to be doing this week is back to school. Some really cool fun things with back to school, and I hope you'll stick around for those. So if you haven't subscribed yet, guys, please hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.